We've been waiting on this for well over a week. Finally, a gorgeous night in downtown Indianapolis. The Indy 11 are Noblesville strong. Heroes Ella Whistler and Jason Seaman in attendance. So are the Charlotte Independents, not to mention the Brickyard Battalion. It is Indy 11 soccer on Wish TV and ESPN+. It is a jumbled mess in the middle of the USL standings in the Eastern Conference. The Indy 11 currently 5th, one of 4 teams with 25 points. We got to go to page 2 to show you the Charlotte Independents. Despite the fact they're only a point back of the Indy 11, teams 3 through 12 in the Eastern Conference, separated by 5 points as we are approaching the midway point of the season. Thanks for joining us at Lucas Oil Stadium alongside Brad Hodder, Greg Rakestraw with you. Thank you for joining us tonight here from downtown Indy. The Indy 11, this is their 3rd home match in the last 8 days, but in the previous 2 meetings, just 1 point out of a possible 6. They're not playing poorly, just not cashing many of their chances.
No, and it's tough. We saw a lot of this in May when you got that compressed schedule and few days of rest, that it's tough to respond. And, hopefully you can start to pull a few points here and there so it doesn't get away from you.
Part of the theme this week with these home matches has been seeing a familiar face in a visitor's uniform. That continues tonight with the leading scorer in Indy 11 history. Eamon Zayed scored 26 times in league play each of the last 2 seasons. He's had 3 goals this year with Charlotte.
Yeah, he's been a fan favorite his 2 years here, and not just because he scored, but he scored in critical moments too.
But Zayed has been scoring at a solid clip, but not at the league leading clip, or nearly so, of the duo of Herrera and Cato, each with 8 goals apiece. They are one of the top 2 scoring pairings in the entire USL.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's so great when you can have that kind of a balance in the attack. It just doesn't allow teams to load up on one or the other.
And Herrera is an ageless wonder. He's been playing in Charlotte in some form or fashion since 2007. He has 60 career USL goals. The Indy 11, well, it's been kind of the dog days of summer in terms of being so busy. This is their 4th match in a streak of 5 in 16 days. They got 3 on the road in Nashville, but again, Brad, haven't backed it up at home this week.
Yeah, the schedule has been cruel, and it's important that they can respond from the midweek game today.
Second time these teams have played this season. Earlier, it was a 0-0 draw in Charlotte. You don't expect to see that this evening at Lucas Oil Stadium. It's the Indy 11, the Charlotte Independents. It is USL Soccer. Thanks for joining us on Wish TV and ESPN+. Indy 11 Soccer is brought to us by Community Health Network. Exceptional care simply delivered. Community Health Network. By Honda, proud to be the official automotive sponsor of the Indy 11. By Turkish Airlines, widen your world. And by The Room Place, get it all at The Room Place. On your screen, for those of you from outside of the Indianapolis area, you pray that the tragedy of a school shooting, which is all too common of an occurrence these days, does not happen in your area. It did in Indianapolis, in the suburb of Noblesville, northeast of Indianapolis, on the last Friday in May before Memorial Day weekend. The teacher you see on your screen is Jason Seaman. The young lady is the only person that was shot other than Jason as part of that. She is on her way to making a recovery. Jason was hospitalized briefly. It was his actions that likely saved Ella's life and many others in that classroom. It is a wonderful story. It is great to see her out and about. Jason's been making public appearances for some time. Ella just starting to over the course of the last week. That is why you see the Indy 11 players wearing those Noblesville Strong t-shirts tonight. It is wonderful to see Ella and Jason, and it's great the Indy 11 can play a part in helping to raise funds for the ongoing medical expenses that Ella Whistler will face.
Absolutely incredible story. I think I heard somewhere where he said, kids, don't worry, I will take a bullet for you if something happens. Then he takes 3.
You didn't want that to be that prophetic, but
No.
Thank goodness he was there, Jason. We cannot thank you enough for your great work some 6 or 7 weeks ago. Time now for our starting lineups presented by Honda Manufacturers of Indiana, the official automotive sponsor of the Indy 11. Brad Ring back in the starting lineup, and Suni Saad, who missed 2 games because of injury, played as a sub on Wednesday. It's good to have that educated right foot back in the lineup, especially on set pieces. For the Charlotte Independents, of course, the familiar name of Ayman Zayed. He and Herrera will form their 2-man striker partnership, but again, Cordell Cato from a midfielder's role has 8 goals this season.
Yeah, you look at Herrera and Zayed are going to occupy so much of the back four's attention that you got to be careful of Cato popping into the seams.
The all-time leader in appearances for the Indy 11 in Brad Ring back into the starting lineup. He has not played in each of the last 2 games. He appeared as a sub in Indy's last victory against Nashville SC a week ago on Tuesday. Final matchup, unless it is a playoff meeting between these two, in October. In a 0-0 draw, one of just 3 clean sheets that Charlotte has had this season. They have not been on a good run of form as of late. They have picked up just 4 points out of a possible 18 in their last 6 matches. You got to go back to early June, the last time that Charlotte got a victory. They fell to Bethlehem by a score of 4-1 last weekend, had 4 draws before that matchup. Time now for our keys this contest, presented by your Central Indiana Honda dealers, official automotive sponsor of the Indy 11.
For the 11, it's understanding Zayed with a completely new back 4. Do they understand how he plays? If you try and defend him in the way that you would a conventional attacker, he's going to get you. He's got this organic compass in his DNA where he just finds the right spot at that critical moment. So if you're going to zone him and not have somebody accountable for him, he's going to get you. So you got to understand what he brings to the game. The other thing is execute. You look at the match on Wednesday night, it was a 1-0 loss, but there were plenty of opportunities, plenty of moments that the 11 could have equalized or pulled ahead. For Charlotte, it's pace. You know that the 11 have played 4 games in the last 12 days, and if you've been watching the weather, those games have been in 90-plus degree conditions. And so if you can dictate the pace and elevate that for the 11, you might get into their legs in the 60th minute. And then restarts, restarts, restarts. If you've watched tape, Ayoze and Suni Saad have carved up teams. You cannot give up silly fouls in your defensive third.
Seth Moses, who had Wednesday night off, helps lead the attack. The flick, a beautiful attempt by Saad. However, flag goes up. He was offside, but you want to see your strikers push the envelope early in the contest.
You do, and the creativity of understanding that really the only thing that he could do right there would be to try and lift it up over the keeper and catch him off balance.
And if you're Andrew Dykstra, the starting netminder for Charlotte, yes, you knew the flag was up, but still, you like kind of knowing between your ears, hey, I still stopped that shot, even if it had been onside.
Well, on the flip side of that, if you're Suni Saad, you still want to put it in the back of the net, so when it popped back to him, he shot it on goal. it's the competitive spirit of guys at this level where you can't lose anything. Card game in the back of a bus, a touch, anything.
Sooney Saad, one of the club's leaders in goals with 4. He and Iose have that honor. Jack McInerney, as well as Justin Braun, each have 3. McInerney has the only goal for the Indy 11 in their last 2 home matches. A 1-1 draw with Penn FC last Saturday. And a 1-0 loss to Ottawa Fury FC on Wednesday night. Seth Moses asking for a handball there, won't get it with the defender in such close proximity.
I'll tell you, that's one of the great things that Seth brings. Not only, is he off Wednesday night so his legs are fresh, but he is just constant energy.
As far as guys that are playing for the 3rd time in 8 days, it's really the guys along the back line. Now, Carl Lamet, because of a red card last Saturday, did not play Wednesday night, but Iose, Carlisle Mitchell, and Kevin Venegas, this is all their 3rd match in 8 days. What does that mean for those guys along the back 4?
Well, it's tough. You may have to adjust your game a little bit. You look at Venegas, and on Wednesday night, he was still making the runs to get forward. He was still tracking back. But today, he might need to be a little bit more cautious in those moments. And instead of going on a 60-40 chance to get forward, maybe make it 70-30 and just kind of, be more efficient with your pace.
Time now for our injury report, brought to us by Community Health Network Sports Medicine, the official sports medicine provider of the Indy 11. I like those one-man injury reports because we were seeing 5 and 6 names up there for a while. Heiner Ferreira still out with an ankle injury, suffered against FC Cincinnati back on March 31st. I don't think we'll see him against Charleston on Wednesday. I do think we could see him in 2 weeks when the Indy 11 visit the Tampa Bay Rowdies.
We talked from the beginning of the season about how this team was built for the long haul, built with depth in mind. But when you take a look at it, you've had Sooney Saad out, you've had McInerney out for a card, you've had Mautern out. Venegas was out for a bit. Ouimet has missed some games. Ferreira's out. So, you really look at where they're standing right now, and it is a testament to the fact that they did build this for a championship.
Bit of a giveaway by Venegas. Good quick turn. This is Herrera. Herrera knocks that ball towards Fawn Williams. Not sure if that was a shot or a cross. Either way, I'll line Fawn Williams with his first activity of the evening. He literally faced 1 shot and saved it on Wednesday night. However, it was the own goal that did in the Indy 11. But Fawn Williams has been fantastic. Not sure if that was a foul or simply the ball hit an extended arm of Sooney Saad. Either way, goes back to Charlotte. There is Andrew Dykstra, played his college soccer at VCU. And this team has an affiliation with the Colorado Rapids of Major League Soccer, which is where Dykstra spent last season. Of course, there's a guy named Tim Howard between the posts right now in Colorado. Justin Braun was deemed to be offside on that play. Justin Braun and Eamon Zayed, teammates for each of the last 2 years. There you see the brain trust of the Indy 11 head coach Martin running. To his right, Philip Dos Santos. The next win for the Indy 11 will give them more wins than they had a season ago. Their final in the North American Soccer League. Their 4th home victory of the season to match their 4 road victories of the season. They will have plenty of opportunities over the next few weeks to add to that road victory total, because as of after tonight, they are not at home again until August the 15th. Next 4 matches all away from Indy. Venegas,
what a ball,
takes it all the way to the byline, sends it across, looking for Braun back post, just puts a little too much air under it. But you see that ability from both left back and right back. Iose and Venegas have no problem getting into the attack. And by the way, Venegas is still catching his breath a bit behind the play as we show you the replay.
Yeah, I think he's grabbing his hamstring a little bit too. So I don't know if something happened on that play or if it's just cramping up from use over the last 12 days.
Venegas spent the previous 6 years with Minnesota United, including last year in Major League Soccer. One of the first free agent signees for the Indy 11 this offseason, the California native. Braun trying to work the tightrope, and now he,
oh my goodness,
grabs his hamstring and immediately says, sub me out. And of course, Justin Braun, about this time last year, suffered an ankle injury that cost him the majority of the back half of the season. Braun just rounding back into form, scoring 3 times between matches against Toronto FC2 and Nashville SC. And Ben Spies, along with Jack McInerney, the likely options to replace Braun. But immediately, he looks up at longtime Indy 11 trainer Brian Gerlach and knows it's not good. Now, play will continue because Braun is down well behind the play. And Venegas is also having an issue. The Indy 11 may have to use 2 subs in the first 10 minutes of this match.
Not the start that you want.
By the way, those available for subs tonight for the Indy 11 as far as the field players are concerned: Tyler Pasher, Brad Russin, Ben Spies, Juan Guerra, Eugene Starikoff, and Jack McInerney. But both Venegas and Braun within a minute of each other, both coming up lane here to start the match.
Same spot on the field too, and you know, it isn't the start that you want for this match, but you look at a hamstring injury and this is a 3 to 4 week recovery. If it's something that's serious, it could even go longer. So you know, you really shake things up a bit if it's if both of these guys are going.
Well, Ben Spies will enter immediately. I think Venegas is going to try to stay on if he can. No such option for Braun. He is heading back to the locker room, and Ben Spies, who got his first start in a while on Wednesday in the loss to Ottawa Fury FC. Spies will enter. Braun again having dealt with injuries for so much of last year. The frustration clearly evident on his face just as he was rounding into form. Not a long-term injury for the second all-time leading goal scorer in Indy 11 franchise history. So Venegas stays on. The Indy 11 already with 1 sub used, and Owain Fawn Williams. A relatively easy play on the long-distance ball from the back line of Charlotte.
A little tactical switch that you see with the injury to kind of protect Venegas a bit. They switched him with Moses so that he's not going to be isolated with either Herrera or Zayed and have to put himself into a position where he's going to be able to sprint. So now he can manage it a little bit better and see if he can't work it out, if it's a cramp, a slight pull, or if it's something more serious.
And that's part of the flexibility of Seth Moses and what made him such an attractive signee in the offseason after playing for Puerto Rico FC last year, is that he could literally play on any 3 lines for the Indy 11. By the way, this portion of the match presented by Community Health and Sports Medicine, keeping athletes at the top of their game. Visit ecommunity.com/sports. Good ball by Spies, just a bit too strong, but the right idea, trying to find Suni Sa down the left flank.
And Spies is going to be an interesting one to watch. You referenced it Wednesday night on how hard he was pressing the back line.
Bit of a giveaway there. Nervous moment. Dykstra able to recover. Please continue.
Great pressure by Watson. So about the 65th minute on Wednesday, he started looking a little bit fatigued. So it's going to be interesting to see, can you get 80 minutes out of him, or is he just another 60 minutes and then McInerney or somebody comes in to clean the game up at the end?
Ioze asking for a foul, didn't get it. Ioze has played in every match for the Indy 11 since the 3rd match of the season. He did not play in the first 2. Featured in the match against North Carolina FC on April the 7th and has played in every match since. You see the head coach for the Charlotte Independents, Mike Jeffries. This is the 4th year for this franchise. He is the only head coach they have had. Herman Trophy Award winner.
How about that?
As the top player in college soccer during his days at Duke University, and the former head coach of the Dallas Bird. Younger soccer fans might know them by their name now of FC Dallas, one of the original Major League Soccer franchises.
So he plays on a pretty competitive Duke team.
Build up here by Charlotte. Deflects off with Carlisle Mitchell.
Wins the Herman Award, and I think was a double major in electrical engineering. So he's getting it done in the classroom as well.
Well, you're not exactly taking job classes at Duke. just a guess. But
no,
yes, double major, quite impressive.
And take a look too for the position he's in right now. Engineering is about solving problems, and so how his brain works and seeing problems, identifying problems, and solving them.
Herrera trying to find his 9th goal of the season as the ball fell to him and not perfectly couldn't square it up. Or that is Fosser, excuse me, my apologies. Kai Fosser, 31-year-old from Switzerland. 12 players with international ties on this Charlotte Independence roster. Von Williams. He is a painter, so he doesn't mind taking time to kind of span the canvas to see where this restart's going to go to.
Well, I think also tactically you've got to, if you can grab 15, 30 seconds for your guys after the 12 days that they've had, and also for Venegas, to make sure that he's not going to be in a back and forth game for the rest of this match.
The Indy 11 have several players who have been kind of warming up in earnest. Starikov, the most active amongst those now. He played some 65 minutes in the game on Wednesday. That'll be a foul. That will go against Alex Martinez, a native of Uruguay. You can see Eugene Starikov. His first year with the Indy 11, like so many of these Indy 11 players. Only 4 players in the current Indy 11 roster, previous members of the Indy 11, and just 3 back from last year, and one of them injured and out now in Braun. Cato to settle. Zayed blasted, but Von Williams is there to keep it away.
Incredible ball.
Cato 8 goals, Herrera 8 goals, Zayed with 3.
And Von Williams with a monster save.
And frankly, Owine has not been that busy the last 2 matches. Business picking up a little bit here against Charlotte. And Charlotte 18, but does a pretty good job of finding the back of the net. They've allowed some goals over the course of the season as well. It's how we kind of point out that 0-0 draw from the end of April when these 2 teams first met. It frankly has not been the norm for Charlotte. It was the norm a bit earlier this year for the Indy 11, but not so much as of late. Now I say that they played to 1-1 and 1-0 each of the last 2 home matches, but that was not their form during the month of June when the Indy 11 pulled a possible 10 points out of 12 available.
Oh, and I think one of the things that's very impressive about Charlotte is their conversion rate. They take fewer shots than the 11. They put fewer on goal, but they score in such volume.
This is Fosser. Just looking for that long ball here on the shorter pitch. Eugene Starikov will be entering momentarily. So you would think Kevin Venegas again was just trying to buy some time. Another player ready. And Starikov missed over 2 months because of injury. He's been seeing his playing time increase and expect to play as much tonight. On target ball here. Sent to the top of the 18. Venegas leaves it for Watson. And now Mattern applying pressure. And the rookie out of Indiana Wesleyan by way of Germany. It's the type of plays he's been making all year for this club. And Ring taken down by Martinez. And that should lead to the second Indy 11 sub in the first 17 minutes of the game.
And I think that close to warm-up, Starikov is likely ready to go. I think you're trying to see, can Venegas push through? Can he maybe make it to halftime? And the other part, too, is trying to protect Starikov. He went hard on Wednesday night. He was chasing down every loose ball, and so, does he have the ability to now get 75 minutes in this match?
So Venegas done for the night. Starikov moves to a midfield role. Again, can be interchanged with forward if need be. Brad Ring and Carl Ouimet not on the same page. As Ring has kind of gone from playing outside wing to playing more of a holding mid, which he's used to, but you are rearranging some deck chairs right now if you're Martin Rennie, and not exactly what you wanted to deal with at the start of this match.
No, and the incredible thing is that you rearranged the deck chairs coming into this match based on what's happened over the last 12 days, and now you're having to do it real time. Just about trying to find terra firma right now for the Indy 11. With
injuries to
Solid
Justin
ground.
Braun and Kevin Venegas. And thank you for the translation. I appreciate that.
It took a while. I was trying to figure out what you were saying.
No translation is needed when you listen to Soccer Saturday on 107.5 FM and 1070 The Fan. We're joined each week by the head coach of the Indy 11 in Martin Rennie. We had a couple of friends of mine on loan from Sirius XM FC to talk World Cup today. Brian Dunseth and Phil Shane. That's pretty good in terms of television commentary. They're all right as well. You can listen to the show via podcast if you'd like. You can log on to 1070thefan.com. Read by Starikoff, and Brad, I thought he was as impressive as we've seen him all year on Wednesday night.
Physical, creative, getting the ball in the box, turning a guy, pulling shots out. He was, in the pressure he put on the back line with his constant energy was fantastic.
He's able to track down this long ball here. Plenty of physicality on the right side with Starikoff and Moses working together. Defender slips, leads to an opportunity. Ioze will settle. Pressure by Joel Johnson. Johnson missed the match against Bethlehem for a red card in the previous match. It was the first match for Charlotte he has missed this season. Captain Matt Watson, a little strong on the pass to Starikoff. Zayed applying pressure. Good looking turn by Suni Sai. The flick by Speeds. Then Watson. 11 couldn't maintain possession. Martinez bothered and then some by Moses. Eventually a little further back to safety to Jung-Soo Lee. South Korea, 38 years of age. There aren't many teams older than the Indy 11 in the USL. This might be one of them in Charlotte. Several players mid-30s and up on this roster. Watson, the oldest player for the Indy 11. This is his 14th year of professional soccer, all coming in North America. Counter opportunity here. Great sliding tackle by Ioze.
A little bit of a misplayed ball by Cato, but you look at the pace that they're breaking out in transition, and they are really going to make the 11 work defensively and try and spend some energy here early in the match.
Spees. Not sure what he's got in his left hand. Not seeming to bother him trying to track this ball down. Not sure if that was a knee wrap or an arm sleeve or whatever the case may be, but added a degree of difficulty in the proceedings momentarily. Spees, the native of northeastern Ohio, his second year with the Indy 11. Formerly at Minnesota United in their NASL days in the Columbus Crew. Lead. Sports the match presented by the Root Place. Get it all at the Root Place. Instead of thinking about attack mode, you're kind of in survival mode right now for the Indy 11. Having to make 2 early subs in this game. The wear and tear of a 4th match in the last 11 days coming to fruition way too early in this one. Charlotte, the more rested team coming in. And he was in a similar situation, though, with one of their more impressive wins of the season when they beat Louisville City FC back on May the 5th. They played and lost to Cincinnati midweek. Louisville had been sitting for a week. Indy got a 1-0 victory on a penalty converted upon by Ioze. Louisville City, the defending USL Cup champs, and a team that is in transition as their head coach James O'Connor and staff have now made the move to Orlando City SC as of this week. Spees went down inside the 18. You're not going to get a whistle for something like that on that piece of real estate.
And that's an important build-up in possession for the 11, as you've got some, a couple new guys that have come in and substitution, and Seth Moses has had to move to the back line from where mentally he prepared to be today. And so you can find a little bit of a rhythm just in maintaining possession for a bit.
All headed down, but Herrera was not close on a supporting run from Cato. Easily handled by Carl Wimette. Wimette missed Wednesday night's match after he got 2 yellows against Penn FC. That was his 2nd red card of the season. Another one coming against North Carolina in early April. Starikov. Returned by Eugene. Born in the Ukraine, but grew up in California and played 2 years collegiately at Stetson in Florida. Ioze trying to find Ben Speeds. Blanket coverage applied by Charlotte. Bilal Naquette, first time we have called his name tonight. And Ouimet with the nudge of Ayman Zayed draws the whistle. Fans, you can show your Indy 11 pride and get your exclusive Indiana Members Credit Union Indy 11 debit card at any Indiana Members Credit Union branch or online at imcu.com today. A comfortable night for the Brickyard Battalion, a comfortable night for all of us inside of Lucas Oil Stadium. Zayed the target. Mitchell and Moses had him flanked atop the 18. Brad Ring settled in midfield. This is his 108th appearance for the Indy 11. By the way, Justin Braun, though his appearance was all too brief, Justin moves into a tie for 6th in club history in appearances. And who's he joined? Ayman Zayed. Both have now played for the club 63 times. First time that Ayman has played against the Indy 11.
What a pair, too. I mean, that was a fun couple years watching those guys run next to each other. They complemented each other very, very well.
Well, in league play the last 2 years, they combined for 41 goals. Pretty good track record.
That's excellent.
Good flick by Saad. There's too much traffic in the midfield. Ball settled by another familiar name and face to Indy 11 fans, Kevon George. Not because Kevon played here, but because he has played against the Indy 11 each of the last 2 years with the Jacksonville Armada. Kevon, like Cordell Cato, his current teammate in Charlotte, both from Trinidad and Tobago, and there is seemingly a constant stream of talent from those islands and that nation to the USL.
It's incredible. And you look, I mean, Kevon, he's been a difference maker the last two seasons we've seen him play.
Spent some time with the Trinidad and Tobago national team. In fact, he played against the U.S. I can't remember if it was the first World Cup qualifier, not the infamous one in October,
right?
But the one I believe last summer. He was on the field for that game.
I think you are correct. It was a close game, too.
Still better than the last one.
Yes, you are correct.
Thank you, Ed McMahon. Foster will play this ball over to Joel Johnson.
Foster's the guy to keep an eye on right now. He's working almost box to box. They look to find him off the back line, and then he's looking to spray that ball over the top or through a seam.
Herrera with the lead. This is Cato. Has multiple options. Slides it through for Zayed. Zayed couldn't keep it on his boot, and Ring steers it some 50 yards clear. Charlotte enters this match a point back of the Indy 11. That slides them all the way to 9th in the Eastern Conference standings. Top 8 teams in each conference make the playoffs. Charlotte was a playoff qualifier each of the last 2 years, but exited in the first playoff match.
And you look at the graphic of the standings that was shown pre-game, and you look at the parity in this conference.
FC Cincinnati has kind of distanced themselves from everybody at this point. Everybody else is pretty much bundled up behind them. And from spots 3 through 12, there are 5 points separating 10 teams. Ioze, Suni Sam, he's onside. A whirling dervish approach on that one that did not work, and now can Charlotte pounce on the counter. Zayed lurking around the defensive line before Martinez could find him. Watson picks his pocket. Starikov goes to ground. Our official says no dice on a potential foul call.
A great job by Matt Watson in defensive transition to stop that ball just over midfield rather than have to have his entire back line retreat another 20 yards to get into position. He could stop it near midfield.
By the way, I've neglected to mention our match referee tonight. My apologies. Lucas Zapala is our lead official. Great ball by Spies. Dykstra, much like Burt Lancaster's character in Field of Dreams, realized where the line of demarcation was immediately and stopped before he stepped on the gravel.
He was thinking to come and play with his feet, and then he realized, I think this one's going to roll into the box. I'll sit back and get it. But just a little heavy on the touch from Ben Spies. Otherwise, SUNY Sod makes this game 1-0.
You did not expect a Moonlight Graham reference on the broadcast
I
tonight,
have no expectations. You surprise me every week.
Technically, Frank Whaley was the actor that played the younger version of Moonlight Graham, that Burt Lancaster played the doctor.
Of course.
Just for any of you Field of Dreams nerds that are watching the broadcast this evening. So Ioze with the lengthy free kick here. I don't think this is in SUNY's range. Then again, we've seen him connect from 35. With the football markings, we know it's 37 yards away, but it appears this is going to be Ioze, and this is likely to set up a teammate. Targets include Carl Wimett, Carlisle Mitchell, and Eugene Starikoff.
I'll tell you, the way Starikoff fights for every ball, if you give him a chance on this, I think he's got the ability to put it away.
Ioze sends it in, flicked down, but not on frame. Last touch by Mitchell. Goal kick coming for Andrew Dykstra. How well do you know the USL? Test your knowledge in USLsoccer.com's weekly picks competition every Tuesday, and you can win tickets to an upcoming USL game of your choice.
All right.
You're competing against yours truly. I know I got the Indy 11 Ottawa Fury pick wrong on Wednesday night. I know I got the first couple of picks right from Tuesday, some West Coast games. But frankly, the big nights tonight. See how I do.
So you're 2-1 heading into tonight.
And there have been more games than that. I'm pretty sure I got Penn FC beating Bethlehem last night too. Pretty sure I got Red Bulls over Atlanta United too last night. So at least I think I've got 4 at least right so far. There's been other games. I'll check the email at halftime to see how I'm doing.
I'm excited.
Sports the Match presented by Honda Manufacturers of Indiana, official automotive sponsor of the Indy 11. See Carlisle Mitchell. We referenced those players from Charlotte, Trinidad and Tobago. Carlisle hails from the same nation. Spies taken down. He gets the foul. He's asking for a card. I'm not sure he's going to get it. However, this team has been so good at scoring on set pieces. This could be another goal opportunity for the Indy 11.
That was one that if it played out, if he didn't get pulled down, it would be interesting to see how that was going to line up.
Sue Lee with the foul. Indy still lobbying for a card.
I think if he gets through with that turn, it's a 3-on-2 going to goal.
And again, it won't be SUNY Sod standing over this one. Ioze will try to curl this in from the opposite side. 4 goals as well as 4 assists for Ioze. He's had 2 assists coming on set pieces, as in corner kicks. Targets remain the same for the Indy 11.
Yeah, you might even have Matty Watson.
Ioze sends it in, looking back post. Starikoff missed it by a couple of inches.
Those are so tough as a goalkeeper, because you've got to play the ball coming in and the runners that might get a touch on it. But that ball also has eyes for the back post, so you've got to have a foot in the world of making the save in the event it gets through.
That was the back post runner for the Indy 11. Starikoff's speed and power. He is a great target option for the Indy 11. Spent last year in the New York Cosmos and spent his entire professional career in either Russia or Ukraine before returning to the States.
Good win.
Watson the settle. Foster able to knock that ball away and deflect it off of Watson for a throw-in for Charlotte. For Charlotte, this begins a series of matches against the higher end district in the Eastern Conference as foul is called against Carlisle Mitchell. But this is the first of 4 consecutive matches against teams that are in the top 6 of the standings in the Eastern Conference. 3 of them away from Charlotte, as they will face, not sure about the particular order, but Indy, Louisville, Cincy, and Nashville. That's who's coming up the next 3 weeks for the Charlotte Independents.
How about that?
Sounds familiar. Sounds like May for the Indy 11.
It does. And so it's important for them to have a good showing tonight and try and pull a point, maybe 3.
It's Foster who sends it in. Curling ball for Zayed. Mitchell got there first. Duquette will track it down, but make the contact he wanted to, and now Ioze can take up some real estate. Spees leads the charge, elects to leave it for Suni-san.
Oh.
Mattern didn't hear Zayed coming behind him. Player down, it's Ioze. A 3rd player down for the Indy 11.
Yeah, Martinez and Ioze both running into the same spot at the same time, just leveled each other.
Herrera down in a separate incident. Hopefully Ioze can soldier on. He missed the first 2 games of the season due to injury, but he has been a stalwart since that time. Looking for the right side of your screen. And the fans are seeing the same replay in the building that you just saw in the broadcast. Not sure if there was anything intentional there from Martinez. Ioze certainly didn't see him coming.
Yeah, that's a tough part. You don't know what if there was intent. Ioze certainly didn't. He wasn't, facing Martinez, but Martinez did have a look at Ioze's path.
VAR on things like that here at this level. Now Martinez having a somewhat animated conversation with Seth Moses. And now Ioze and Martinez with some less than pleasantries for one another. And every member of the Indy 11 at this point kind of making it a point to say something to Martinez about that contact.
Well, in the first 5 minutes of the match, I forget who it was, but he hit somebody. He was pretty physical in that first 5 minutes. And, when you watch this on the replay, it does look like he dropped his shoulder a little bit.
Well, Ioze appears maybe he's just kind of getting the wind knocked out of him. He appears to have caught his breath.
That's such a tough one. When you're not looking at the run and you get blindsided, your body can't prepare for that impact.
I kind of just want to lay back and watch this, but I feel I might need to talk over it just for FCC purposes at this point. Then again, both are native Spanish speakers,
That's
so
right,
it may not be a violation in English. Either way, a matchup worth watching for the rest of the evening.
Right, it's still going. And now it's getting in with Coach Rennie, too.
This portion of the match presented by Turkish Airlines. Widen your world. Both teams back at full strength. Fan Select is the official soccer ball of the USL. For the latest Select products and special offers, please visit SelectSportAmerica.com. Receive free shipping on orders over $50. Eamon Zayed continues to be the long-distance target for Charlotte tonight. Of course, 3 nights ago was Colin Falvey playing for Ottawa Fury against the Indy 11. Ring on a dead sprint forces the issue back to Dykstra. 7 days ago, Marco Franco lining up for Penn FC. All 3 of those players over 60 appearances with the Indy 11. Marco Franco, the 3rd most appearances in club history with 88.
They're all 3 fan favorites. Did a lot in the community. Were active, involved, fun players.
Falvey and Zayed, 2-year members of the Indy 11. Franco, not there from day 1, but there from year 1. Spees couldn't keep it in play.
Something to keep an eye on as well. When Foster gets the ball in the midfield, Cato, who's playing in the outside right, he takes off. You've got Herrera and Zaya that are occupying the back four and drawing their attention. You got to be careful that Cato isn't sprung and getting into that space behind the back four.
Great save made by O-line Fawn Williams, but it was a few minutes ago. Been a lot of activity, but it's resulted in a goal or close to it other than that lone shot by Zayed on a rebound. And knocked away by Wimet. All sent in. Zayed with the header. But Fawn Williams will just casually go track that down in front of the Brickyard Battalion.
And we had the luxury of watching Zayed for 2 years, and even a highlight from either the last game or two with Charlotte. You know him as a goal scorer, so when that ball comes to him in the air, you're thinking he's going to put it on frame, but he's got this great sense of knocking it back across the box. And Herrera and he are already playing in sync because Herrera's looking for that ball.
Only thing different about Eamon is his haircut. He hasn't had one in a while. It's not exactly Marouane Fellaini level, but there's a little more volume to it than we're used to seeing in his days in Indianapolis. Watson will to keep it in play or not. No one coming here for the Independents. This portion of the match also a service of the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. Take your business to the next level in a state that works. Because of the injuries, we will have some stoppage time in this one.
I'm going to bet 30 minutes. If I was a betting man, Ray.
I don't think it's going to be that much. One thing we don't have tonight that we had each of the last two home matches were water breaks because of excessive heat. It is a gorgeous night for early June here in Indianapolis. With the breeze coming from the north, you can feel it coming in the open window at the north end of Lucas Oil Stadium. Fawn Williams on the restart. The heat apparently melted some of the dates in my brain. It's a beautiful night for early July, not June. My apologies. There goes the perfect game.
I tell you, you are so good with facts. I don't ever question. I started thinking it was June.
You just say it convincingly enough, people believe you.
I bought in.
That's what makes you, Brad. Herrera sends this ball in. Bit of a bouncer. Moses able to steer it away from Martinez. Good read by Starikov. Was 3 different Independence players to his side of the field. Back to settle things. A momentary retreat for the Indy 11 attack. The final 5 minutes. Plus whatever stoppage time there is in half number 1, presented by your Central Indiana Honda Dealers, official automotive sponsor of the Indy 11. Now Suni Sa has Starikov to his right. Stayed on side. Left it for Spies. Good recovery by Joel Johnson for the Independents. Both these teams quick on the counter. Nifty pass by Moses. Starikov takes a whack at it. Couldn't get it to curl inside of the back post.
Great look, though. He's so dangerous on his right foot. Clever little ball by Seth Moses to free him up.
Starikov looking for his first Indy 11 goal. My goodness, what a pass by Moses. Seth has played in multiple countries, even though he is from Baltimore, Maryland. The story's been well documented, playing with Puerto Rico FC as that franchise soldiered on after the hurricane last fall. He's been playing a couple of times in Indianapolis in the month of October last year.
Incredible. I mean, they were like on the road for 2 months.
Pretty much from mid-September on. They first had to ride out the storm itself. Then their base of operations moved. Zayed trying to latch onto this one. Wimet got in his way. Zayed touched it last. Goal kick coming for O-line Fawn Williams. Want to keep up with the best social media from around the USL? Join Kelsey Steele every Friday on the USL social media channels for the latest edition of Off the Post. We'll have highlights from around the league coming up at halftime, plus highlights from last night's exciting match in Harrisburg. It saw Penn FC bump up a couple of spots in the Eastern Conference table. A 3-2 victory against the Bethlehem Steel. Got the out-of-town scoreboard highlights from this match as well. All coming up in just a matter of minutes. Watson with a bit of a hello shove for Alex Martinez. I would say he's a marked man for the Indy 11 for the rest of the night.
I would agree with you. And the way he's, played since the Ioze collision, he's not backing down from it.
By the way, of note, if there is any sort of dust-up involving Ioze and it gets to cards, Ioze's got to be careful. He is on caution watch. The next yellow he would pick up would have him sit for the next match. He had one rescinded for good behavior earlier. He seemed to pick up a yellow the very next match against Nashville. So the next yellow would be a one-game sit-down for the veteran Ioze for the Indy 11.
This may be a situation. I don't anticipate a dust-up at all. Maybe a situation of a Gretzky-Messier kind of thing, where Ioze is not the guy that's going to be the one that gets overly involved in it.
If you're Mark Rennie, how do you feel about this half right now, Brett?
I think you like it, considering the problems that you had to solve and that the guys have to do it in real time. It's not like you can, sit down, call a timeout, get everybody together and say, okay, here's where you're going to go, here's what's going to happen, here's how we need to prevent things. So I think the 11 players have done a fantastic job of solving things real time. I think Coach Rennie's got to be happy with it. There are some concerns that I have. I think Kai Fosser is going to be somebody to keep an eye on. I think you've done a nice job with Zayed and Herrera and making sure neither one of them is too dangerous, but I'm very concerned about Cato getting forward.
2 minutes of added time. 2 minutes remaining in half number one. Opportunity here for Cato. The flick for Zayed. Back to Cato. Mines getting involved in support. Good recovery by the back line of the Indy 11. Saad couldn't control the carom, but the ball finds his feet yet again. And then Saad goes to the turf. And much as Martinez is a marked man by the Indy 11, as the Brickyard Battalion would say, the green team, he is on their radar as well.
And good job by the center official. He pointed to the two spots where he saw some aggressive play by Martinez and said, there's one, there's two, the next one's going to draw a card.
Chance to throw some numbers forward here.
It'd be big right here. It'd be big for the 11.
I was told, hey, you got to get that ball at least back to the midfield stripe, which is where the foul occurred. Very much a veteran move by the lefty. Starikoff got ahead to it. Mitchell. Not a controlling touch, and now you spring Cato with air and opportunity. And Mater not only slows down the play, but knocks it off the speedster for Charlotte.
That was an unsung part of Zayed's game when he was here. As a goal scorer, you pretty much focus on that. But he did a great job here in Indy, and then right there for Charlotte in coming back defensively and winning the ball on a restart in the air.
And that is the end of half number one. Evenly played, a higher degree of difficulty for the Indy 11 because of the early exits of both Justin Braun and Kevin Venegas. The Indy 11 have just one substitute remaining for the final 45 minutes of this match. They also have 45 minutes to get at least a goal, if not more, trying to secure what would be an only win in 3 home matches in an 8-day span. It was 0-0 when they played back in April. It's 0-0 at halftime here between Indy and Charlotte as you're watching USL Soccer on Wish TV. No goals yet at halftime of Indy 11 and the Charlotte Independence. There were plenty of goals last night in Harrisburg. Our featured Friday night matchup in the USL saw Penn FC take on Bethlehem FC, two teams that have played against the Indy 11 very well in games in this building earlier this year. 5 goals between the two teams. You'll see one highlight of a non-goal, a missed opportunity by Bethlehem that may have come back to bite them in the end.
And both of these teams are rounding into form very, very well. And I tell you, when you look, Lucky Kosana, he's red hot.
5 goals in the month of June, a candidate for the USL's Player of the Month. He would score 1 in this game. In fact, it would be coming up. Early in the match, it was 2-1 in favor of Penn FC. Eventually, they take a 3-1 lead.
And that's his 3rd goal inside the 6-yard box in the last 2 weeks.
Well, you talked about it very accurately last week. He's got a lot of tools in the toolbox, different areas of the field. He'll find a way to score. A late penalty for Bethlehem brought him back within a goal, but Penn FC, they've only got one more home match until September. They had to get 3, and they did. So, congratulations to them on getting the 3 points 8 nights ago. While the Indianapolis Ballet performs at halftime, let's show you other feats of athleticism from across the USL. A look at our Week 16 highlights.
Hey, you trying to lob all the way! Oh, he made up for it in the most incredible of fashions! Oh, come on! Lancaster! Cameron Lancaster! A dream of a goal!
Yeats inside the area, it's Hamilton! What a finish! Jordan Hamilton! What a strike!
Depersky getting in behind.
That ball from Mirkovic, and what an incredible goal from Perisky! Cordell Cato, oh my goodness, what a finish! Across the middle. Obanawi with the insurance goal. There it is!
McInerney, good looking ball. Jack McInerney.
Just digs it back in, flicked on. Krisnenko!
Brody inside the 18. Brody shot and a goal! Andrew Brody puts the Monarchs ahead in the 8th minute of play.
This one sent in. Great effort! Tampa Bay equalized in the 90th. It's Damo Duro in his rowdy debut. Obi steps in. Obi shooting! Saved by Lynn! He protected the 2 points!
Looking overlap here on the cross, volleyed in, and beautifully saved.
Stepping forward, header is saved! Von Williams just barely knocking it away from Doyle.
Brandon Allen! Garces kept it out.
Here comes Fresno. Cooper! Safe keeper. Colwyn gets in behind. Francois off of Ranjitsing. Francois again. Ranjitsing slaps it away. Lofted over the back line and saved by Pickens as he dives aside.
Top-notch goal scoring and goal prevention from around the USL. 0-0 so far. Our score at halftime at Lucas Oil Stadium, Indy 11 and Charlotte Independence. Again, alongside Brad Hodder, Greg Rakestraw. Thank you for joining us here on Wish TV as well as ESPN Plus. We'll get to scores and the league standings, the Eastern Conference standings. Overall impressions on the first 45, Brad.
I thought it was great. I thought it was great from both sides. I think when you take a look at Charlotte, they're pushing the pace very well, making sure that Indy has to recover and defend the full field. And I love the way that the 11 have figured out how to solve the problems of the 2 early injuries.
Well, you saw a match from last night. Let's show you results from matches currently in progress around the USL. Our out-of-town scoreboard brought to us by the Crown Plaza, Indianapolis downtown. Again, Louisville City FC playing with 3 veteran players as tri-interim coaches right now with the departure of James O'Connor and staff to Orlando City SC. I'm not surprised that a franchise as solid as that one comes out and finds success early against Tampa Bay Rowdies.
They do so much early on when they're vetting their players to find out about culture and chemistry and how they're going to all mesh. So if any team could lose a head coach and still be solid, it's Louisville City.
The Charleston Battery next up for the Indy 11. That game in Charleston on Wednesday night. You can see it here on ESPN+. And then a big game towards the top of the Eastern Conference standings. Nashville SC and FC Cincinnati. That game in Nashville coming up at 8:30. So let's take a look now at the table, the standings in the Eastern Conference. And as we talked about, FC Cincinnati has some distance. Pittsburgh playing close to them. Then you've got a gap to Nashville, Louisville, then Indy. And much like Penn FC moved up last night with a victory, so too did Red Bulls too.
One of the things that's so great about this is it makes every game meaningful and every match exciting.
Now trying to move up to page 1 of the graphic with a result tonight would be the Charlotte Independents sitting on 24 points. A road point would be nice for them, but again, they have now gone 6 matches without a W. I guarantee they're looking for 3 points here in the second half.
You hate to say here at the midpoint of the season that they have to have it, but with what you articulated is in front of them here in the next few weeks, they have to have it.
And with Ottawa getting 3 points here on Wednesday night, they are back in the playoff picture, even though they are 12 out of 16 teams in the Eastern Conference. We got to get to a quick timeout. When we come back, more of our halftime show, like first half highlights and a conversation with Indy 11 head coach Mark Renning. $15 seconds. There you go. Now you're good. Once again, back inside Lucas Oil Stadium. Last time the Indy 11 play here until August the 15th, furthering that need to find a goal, if not more, and 3 points in half number 2. Once again, alongside Brad Hodder, Greg Rakestraw with you. We want to show you highlights, no goals to score, but unfortunately, Brad, the biggest part of the story right now for the Indy 11, just as they were getting healthier, injuries in the first 10 minutes of this match.
2 tough losses, but 2 great responses from Ben Spees and Seth Moses to kind of navigate to the end of the half. Now they can regroup, and it's going to be exciting to see what they come back with.
So in telling the story the first half, I tell you, unfortunately, what happened to both Kevin Venegas and Justin Braun. Venegas already had an issue going down that side of the field. Braun felt the hamstring go, so immediately, I've got to have a sub. Ben Spees comes on. Kevin Venegas actually kind of shifted forward in the alignment and stayed in the field about 5 or 10 minutes. just trying to allow Eugene Starikov the opportunity to get fully warmed up to then join the fray.
And some of this might be just an explosion as they're sprinting for the ball. Some of it may be a repercussion of the short week, the lack of recovery, the lack of rest.
Eamon Zayed, a save made by Owain Von Williams. Tremendous pass by Seth Moses, and nearly the flourish of a finish by Eugene Starikov. Let's go to the sidelines now. Martin Rennie, head coach of the Indy 11, is standing by. Didn't exactly need a degree of difficulty tonight, but you were dealt one with Venegas and Braun going down. Your thoughts by the way your team kind of recovered from that 0-0 here at halftime?
Yeah, I thought we recovered well. I thought there was a 10-minute spell there while we had to make those adjustments that we were, had to stay in the game and managed to do that. But I thought other than that, we were, creating some good chances, had decent spells of play. So adjusted well from what was obviously a difficult start.
You had to make a tactical change because of personnel. Now do you make a tactical change of any kind here in half number 2?
Yeah, there's a few little things we need to make sure we tighten up on, but really it's just executing in the final third. We've had some good chances. We've been just off with a few, and now we need to make sure we take those chances in the second half.
Martin, thanks for the time. We'll talk to you after the match.
Thank you.
Head coach Martin Rennie of the Indy 11. Our coaches interview, a service of Turkish Airlines, the official international airline of Indy 11 soccer. Turkish Airlines, widen your world. A quick check of the first half stats. The big font says 0. Shots, not exactly a plethora of those for either side, and only one on target, hence the save that we showed you from Owain Von Williams. Interesting, no corner kicks so far in this match, and possession tilted in favor of Charlotte. What do those numbers tell you, Brad?
Well, I tell you, the big statistic that is glaring right now is normally the 11 enter the second half with 3 subs. They've got 1 left at their disposal, so kind of the how do you manage these 45 minutes? Who do you rest? Do you keep it in your back pocket for something late in the match, or do you have to use it? Do you get pressed into using it like you did in the first 10 minutes?
And that was kind of the next direction I was going to go with that comment, Brad, is that given the fact you've had 2 players come up injured already, knowing the conditions you've played in for the last 2 weeks, this is your 4th match in 11 days, do you almost have to save that sub, not from a tactical standpoint, but maybe to the last 10-15 minutes, have a guy almost on reserve just in case somebody else comes up injured in this match?
Perfect world is you're able to, is you don't want to have to use it in the first half of this half. You need it for that last 10 to 15 minutes, because if somebody does pull up lame and you use it because you want a tactical or some kind of a tweak in the way that you're playing, and you don't have it if somebody goes down, you're in trouble. So you got to keep it. You got to hold on to it.
The captain, Matt Watson, got a goal for the Indy 11 here against Atlanta United 2. Back in a 2-0 victory on June 9th. Would love to get a second. Andrew Dykstra has other things in mind. Dykstra, 32 years of age, from Woodbridge, Virginia. Again, numerous players we've talked about for this Charlotte Independence Club. 30 or over. Kind of harkens back to the former league for the Indy 11. That'd be a common theme in the old North American Soccer League days. Guy that spent time in both leagues is Ben Spees. He stands over the ball getting ready to kick things off for half number 2. Last half of soccer on this turf for the Indy 11. We have referenced the fact that Indy is not home again until August the 15th. This turf will be replaced the next time the Indy 11 are here. And of course, the Indianapolis Colts are soon to reclaim Lucas Oil Stadium for the upcoming football season as well.
Yeah, the connection between Moses and Starikov is pretty on point.
Speeds. Martinez over to pressure. Good job of keeping that ball in play by Starikov. To your point, Starikov to Moses. Frankly, it's 2 very similarly minded players on the right side. Saad couldn't get a shot away. Ring, Spees hustling for it, and Suni Saad couldn't get there in time. Read by Ioze. Standing pressure to start this half by the Indy 11. Saad the flick, Starikov draws the foul just outside the 18.
Look out.
And this is where a Sunni side or an Ioze can do some damage. Joel Johnson, he missed the last match due to 2 yellows in the previous match for Charlotte. Probably not card worthy, but definitely foul worthy. And it appears that Sunni's side might be looking to make his next SportsCenter top 10 appearance.
Well, you referenced that the pressure that the Indy front line was putting on the back four of Charlotte, and that's what led to this. You know, you got choices on where you can spend your energy. You can either, you know, make an 80-yard recovery run if you turn the ball over, or you can spend the energy and press and try and get a repossession, and the 11 did just that, and this is their reward.
Well, it won't be Saad, it'll be Ioze again. The left foot. Looks to serve it in, headed down, but just steered wide. Ioze and Ouimet combined for a goal in the last Indy 11 win in Nashville. That goal that night for Carl was his first since 2015. He nearly had a second. And for those of you that might be watching outside of Indianapolis or from the Charlotte area, we kind of continue to talk about what Sunni can do with the way he can move a soccer ball. He has had 2 goals. There have been more from straight on than, say, the set piece opportunities so far tonight. But the amount of movement he can put on a soccer ball with his right foot is a sight to behold. Herrera. And a foul is whistled. You see Mike Jeffries on the sidelines. Brad Ring asking for a bit of an explanation from our referee. Full complement of subs at the disposal of the Independents. Not a luxury currently the Indy 11 have.
Yeah, but I think they'd feel very fortunate if they can keep this scoreless and get 30 minutes in and then look to bring in someone with Pasher's pace who can change the complexion of the game quickly.
Bilal Duquette picks up the card. First yellow issued of the match. And again, that was not for the severity of the foul, but for the counter opportunity that was prevented by said foul. Grab of the left arm, that's an easy call to make. And Spees, you touched on this briefly at halftime, Brett. He's been impressive coming in as a sub tonight.
Yeah, enjoyed seeing him out there again. He's certainly brought some energy, and the balls that have come into him, he's had a guy draped on his back. He's been able to turn very effectively.
Good turn, shot taken. Asking for a foul outside of the 18. Official says no. Mitchell was the player that went to ground. Mater, well done to keep that ball in play. Now Watson with some space to operate. But then a giveaway as he and Starikov not on the same page.
Kind of like the thought that Starikov had. He made a checking run to Watson to open up some space over the top, and there was a big pocket that Watson could have put. But as you mentioned, they just were not on the same page on that one.
On the attack, ball finds Herrera and slips it past Owain Fawn Williams. First real opportunity of the half for Charlotte. Result in Herrera's 9th goal of the season, which ties him atop the leaders in the USL. And Indy trails at home for a 3rd consecutive match.
It's unfortunate. You take a look at the pressure and kind of the soft pressure on the outside that led to that ball coming into the middle, and there's a couple players you just can't lose sight of, and certainly when they're in the box, and Zayed's one of them. But Herrera, 8 goals. He can't get that much space in the 18.
Last year became the 2nd player in the USL to score 50 career goals. If my math is correct, he's now 6 behind the all-time leading goal scorer in the history of the league.
He's 37. He's 37 years old. He's got 9 goals. Last year, at the spry age of 36, he had 12. We're at the halfway point. He's got 9.
He was the player of the month, July last year. He had 8 goals in that month for Charlotte. Starikov leaves it for Spees. Spees Plays the cross, and Dykstra able to snare it. The USL's official Twitter feed keeps you up to date with news, live game updates, and highlights from around the league 24/7. Follow at USL on Twitter. Advantage was being played. 11 couldn't corral the opportunity. Herrera not happy with the lack of a call. Martin Rennie negotiating for a call as well with the fourth official. Herrera, a native of Colombia, but again has called Charlotte home for over a decade. Played with the precursor franchise to the Independents in Charlotte. And now Ioze is going to have a conversation. As is Ouimet. In fact, I think it's going to be Ouimet Herrera that we're going to get a talking to from our referee. Sports of the Match presented by Community Health Sports Medicine, keeping athletes at the top of their game. Visit ecommunity.com/sports. This is an all too familiar position for the Indy 11. They have had 3 home wins this year. They frankly have been, from a results standpoint, been a better road team so far this year. Brad, any thoughts on why that's been the case?
I think it's just the rhythm of the way the season is wound up. You know, you take a look at May, it didn't matter if they were home or away. It was injuries, it was back-to-back, it was no rest, no recovery. Could have put those on the road, you could have put those at home. I think the results were going to be pretty similar. Not like you mentioned, Herrera spends a decade in Charlotte. I like that. Here's a guy with, what, 61 goals? And obviously has the chance to move around and play elsewhere. But he calls it home. I like that.
Herrera again finds some space. Couldn't connect with Zayed. Starikov. Nifty couple of touches. Saad with Ioze charging forward. Spies in front of Ioze. Same for Starikov. That was the target of that pass. Lets it roll through for Spies. Spies plays it across. Right idea. Suni Saad couldn't latch on to it.
What a leave by Starikov.
I've not seen that much of Starikov and Spies this year. Saad asked for a foul, didn't get it. Spies has just been tough to crack the lineup. We've seen him as more of a sub this year. Unfortunately, with the injury to Justin Brunner tonight, there will be more of an opportunity for Ben Spies going forward. And Jack McInerney is available for selection off the bench as well. Again, the question is, with just one sub left, whose name do you call? The score remains the same, say 10, 15 minutes from now. McInerney could easily be the player whose name gets called. Bit of a stumble by Ouimet. And he is injured as well, holding his left elbow. Ioze tripped up. And that will be a card shown to Herrera. That may be just as much about the player that was fouled and the amount of contact he has taken tonight as compared to anything that Herrera has done. Keep an eye out. You'll see the foul here. But also keep an eye out on Ouimet. See if that left arm is okay. Every one of these conversations tonight has ended with Ioze standing over the ball and directing it to a teammate instead of Saad going directly for goal. Ioze's passes have all been crisp. None have resulted in a goal. Martinez is drawing the attention of both Saad and Ioze. That ball ricochets off of Saad. And the scouting report is a little bit out on Suni at this point on those indirect free kicks. This portion of the match presented by Denny Excavating. Denny Company's tearing down the past so you can build the future. Well, that appears to be no worse for wear. And Watson draws the foul from Zion. Good restart here by Indy. Good looking ball by Saad to Speeds.
Tough first touch too.
Speeds 4 goals and 4 assists last year for Indy. For his first USL Indy 11 goal. Iose sends it in. Pressure by Mater to keep the play alive. This portion of the match, a service of the Root Place. Get it all at the Root Place. Well timed run here. Zion leaves it forward for Cato. Cato didn't get as much on it as he wanted to. Good pressure applied by Wibet.
Good job in recovery. It's tough. The thing you got to stay away from is that turnover that allows Charlotte out in transition, where you have to sprint and just try and plug holes.
Starikov goes to the ground. Foster commits the foul. Starikov restarts immediately. Starikov didn't get as much to it as he wanted to on the service from Moses. Let's go to the other end of the pitch. Take a look at their latest opportunity.
That's a little turnover in midfield, and Foster, who's just spraying the ball into whatever open space there is. But what a touch by Zion.
A goal earlier from Herrera. He joins Carlton Belmar of Swope Park Rangers, Thomas Enevoldsen of Orange County. Topped the USL with 9 goals so far this year. Saad, right idea. Didn't have a player that could connect onto the back end of the pass.
Incredible technical skill from Iose to keep that ball in bounds and dance through the line.
But frankly, that's what we expect from him at this point. We saw it for 4 years playing as an opponent in New York, and we see it now playing for the home side. Iose, Eugene Starikov, and Juan Guerra. Trifecta players that came to the Indy 11 from the New York Cosmos during the offseason. Iose had been with the Cosmos since their reboot in the fall of 2013. Ring draws the foul from Duquette. By the way, it was wonderful to catch up with the first signee of the Indy 11 back in 2013 at halftime, Christian Neat, who played every minute of every match that opening season. Something that Owain Van Williams has done to this juncture of the season as well. It's the 17th league match, 18th match in total for Indy this season. Iose sends it in. Starikov the target, and could not keep it on frame. Fans, you can watch highlights from every game of the 2018 USL season. Not to mention bonus content from around the league by subscribing to the league's official YouTube channel at youtube.com/USL. Build up here by Charlotte to try to work it out of the Indy 11 end.
A solid read by Mater.
We say that a lot, don't we?
It's incredible. I know he's 26, but still, it's his first year in the league, and he reads play, he understands space.
Great win. Can he make the turn? Starikov sizing up his opportunity. So Lee able to get in the way. We have not seen all that much of Speeds this year, but I've been impressed by what he has done tonight.
Oh, that was incredible to create an opportunity out of that play.
done by Moses.
Good fight.
Plays it across. Duquette is there. Mattern to Saad. Now Mattern. Iose. The 11 doing a lot of things right. Just not in the final third as of yet. They keep giving themselves opportunities. Starikov, Spies. Oh, and Ring and Mattern played a game of you got it.
Just a little misread.
Let's come back to bite him. We're met there to cover on the other end. The flick, Spies on left foot.
What a hit!
Ben Spies! Ben Spies, his first Indy 11 goal of the season, and we're all tied up at 1.
Wow. That's a fantastic finish.
We've been saying this since the end of the match. Earlier than expected to replace Justin Braun. That Ben Spies has been doing things we haven't seen from him all year. Hard work gets rewarded. Level in the 63rd minute.
That is a tough ball. Great win by Starikov, but that is a tough one-time ball coming across your body to strike it with that pace with your left foot.
4 goals last year for Ben with the Indy 11. So his first goal of the season for the native of Northern Ohio.
It's impossible to not take a look at what the different dimension that Iose brings with his ability to switch fields and find the gaps and the mismatches on the weak side.
So 3 points still there for the taking for both of these teams. A week ago when Indy was playing a man down and were able to equalize in that scenario, that 1 point felt like a win. One's better than none. Both teams still want 3. Spies had an assist in his first Indy 11 match last year. A 1-1 draw with San Francisco, had a goal in his second match with the Indy 11. A 3-3 draw against Puerto Rico FC. He appeared in 28 of the 32 matches for the Indy 11 last season. He's looking for a brace. Justin Braun had one of those less than a month ago against Toronto FC2. Soony Saad had one of those against Nashville SC.
And you know, your pace always quickens a bit after you score, but he's, you know, on the heels of what he did on Wednesday night, he's not lost a step. He's still pressing the ball and chasing down 50-50 opportunities.
Watson slides and past 2 defenders, but didn't have an attacking player there. And again, Indy has had the better of this half, with the exception of literally a defender switching off on Herrera's goal.
Exactly. And it's exciting because of the hand they've been dealt in the first 10 minutes. It's exciting to see how they've responded to those problems.
Spies becomes the 11th different player for Indy to score a goal this season. 4 players have scored multiple goals. 7 have scored 1. 4 goals each for Iose and Soony Saad. 3 each for Jack McInerney and Justin Braun. Throw in. Starikov was the target. Saad will settle. Tried to slide it through to Iose. Couldn't thread the needle. Now the long distance run by Cato. Good read by Ouimet. Now Soony Saad will settle. This portion of the match presented by Honda Manufacturers of Indiana, official automotive sponsor of the Indy 11. Starikov the target for Mattern. Starikov goes to ground, won't get the call again on the fringe of the 18.
Such a physical player. Such a physical player. Everything's a battle with him.
A reminder, Charlotte has all 3 substitutions remaining. But from a weather standpoint, given what they normally plan at this time of year in North Carolina, what Indy has dealt with for the last couple of weeks, this almost feels like a fall evening inside Lucas Oil Stadium. Zayed. Cato gives it a go, but Vaughn Williams quickly realizes that one's up and over the bar.
Yeah, tough angle, and he's got 3 guys that are framing the goal very, very well through the box. That's going to be one he watches on film and wants back.
Fans, you can download the official Indy 11 app now to be the first to receive breaking team news and highlights, available on the app stores for Apple and Android devices. Moses, well done. Standing run by Seth. Really did not see much playing time until June.
And Starikoff was lined up for him on that. He's got such a cannon of a right foot. He was ready and perched at the top of the box without a defender calling for the ball, and I don't think Moses saw him.
Well done by Lamette. The lead for Speeds. Indy 11's fortune turned as one Garen Seth Moses started to see the lineup on a more regular basis beginning on June 9th. Seth didn't play on Wednesday just because he needed a break in the midst of this tremendously hectic portion of the schedule for the Indy 11.
Yeah, he went from 0 minutes to 90 minutes in the span of a week and then backed it up with great performances.
And Garrett getting that potential rest tonight. He's available for selection off the bench. Watson will settle for Starikoff, who boots it right back to him. Good one-touch football. Moses on the header. Now Starikoff. Well, he might turn and give it a go from just outside of the 18. Starikoff, the lead for Saad. Never got to a spot where he could really let one rip. However, that will be a corner. And in minute number 69, it is the first corner of the match.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I'll tell you what, the way that this game has, and the momentum in it has shifted, the 11 are in a unique position here where they could, you know, put this game away if they can keep this kind of pressure on.
And in similar scenarios, Iose's picked up multiple assists as of late from this very corner. Mitchell, we met amongst the targets. Mitchell,
kaboom.
Carlisle Mitchell from Iose. Carlisle's second goal of the season, both from Iose. Iose's 5th dime of the year, and the Indy 11 have found 2. Can they find 3 points some 20 minutes from now?
What an incredible serve. Just at the edge of Dijkstra's range, so he's got to come out and try to play it, but right at the edge where he's not going to be able to catch it, and Carlisle Mitchell just beats him to the ball.
Carlisle Mitchell, his last goal coming 4 weeks ago against Atlanta United 2, and the service almost a carbon copy. That is now 3 goals from center backs in the last 4 weeks.
Iose serve all 3 of them. I know he got one met in that.
Iose has all 3. You have found the common denominator, my friend. Iose, a candidate for player of the month, player of the week as well. Not this past week, but last week. And a pair of assists in the victory against Nashville. Watson, Indy looking for more. Side.
Why not?
Heads up into BYB. And last time that Charlotte played, they gave up 4 against Bethlehem.
It'll be interesting to see how this game changes. I think that Charlotte took their foot off the gas just a little bit after they scored. The 11 capitalized on that. Now how does the dynamic in this match shift?
This portion of the match presented by Turkish Airlines. Widen your world. Looking for their 4th home win of the season. Home victories here against Nashville April the 14th, Louisville May 5th, and Atlanta United 2 on June 9th.
You couldn't be in a better spot if you're the 11 right now with a 2-1 lead, the weather being what it is, being able to navigate these last 19 minutes without having to press and chase. and you still got a sub in your back pocket.
Ouimet, perfectly weighted ball for Ioze. Joel Johnson with him step for step. Little flick for Ring.
Well
Pressure.
Well defended.
Here's an opportunity, though.
Got to be careful.
Cato is Zion in front. Martinez to his left. And Ouimet just held his ground. Didn't go anywhere. Speed's just offside.
Yeah, Cato was just a little strong with a touch in there and plays it right into Ouimet's feet.
Player down for Charlotte. It is Jung Soo Lee. And we said this with the Indy 11 over the years, with players like Kleberson from the first year, Gerardo Torrado the last 2 years, but you are looking at a former World Cup player that is on the pitch right now for the Charlotte Independents, playing for South Korea. First substitution as Lee will exit because of that injury. Another familiar name from the previous days of the Indy 11 in the North American Soccer League, Greg Jordan. Spent some time with Minnesota United playing with Kevin Venegas and Ben Spies. First sub of the game for head coach Mike Jeffries, the Charlotte Independents.
Substitution. Charlotte Independents.
They have 2 remaining.
Entering 6, Greg Jordan. Leaving the match, 14, Lee Jung-soo.
Restart coming here for the Independents. Jose couldn't keep it in play. Final matchup of the season between these two teams. They're trying to maintain their spot in the top 8. Depending on what happens in other results tonight, they could go as high as 3rd. What a read by Starikov. Just couldn't control it.
You could see the hunger in his eyes. He's thinking, I knocked this ball into this space. I'll go chase it down myself.
And Starikov picks up the foul. The only threatening moment for Charlotte in this half was the goal that was scored. Herrera found a pocket of space between the two center backs, and a striker of his experience and talent is not going to miss in those opportunities.
I think the 11 have done a really nice job of, right as that ball crosses into their defensive third, of being able to kind of dilute any kind of really impactful moment.
Here's Jordan, native of Naperville, Illinois.
Big soccer area.
He might have some friends and family at the game tonight. About a 3.5-hour drive to get from the west side of Chicago to here.
I get how you're familiar with all these sports statistics, but how are you geographically aware of suburbs in other cities?
Naperville, Illinois is the home of North Central College, which briefly was the home of the Chicago Fire of Major League Soccer in between their days in Bridgeview, now at Toyota Park, and before that at Soldier Field. Or you can simply say I'm a nerd. That's the other way of saying it.
No, I think you're fantastic, Ray. You're fantastic. And the fact that it did have a sport tie-in was great. I can see how your mind works.
It's a good stand-up comedy. You always got to have the circle back ball. Possession in the first half, 57-43 in favor of Charlotte. It's been tilted the other direction here in half number 2. Charlotte has made the most of their limited possession with that goal. Suni Saad, can he walk the tightrope? Yes, he does. Saad, and that's going to be, should be a yellow for a goal scoring opportunity, which would be a second yellow of the night. Charlotte plays a man down. Bilal Duquette, his night is over with.
What a read this was, too. This started on a defensive switch. You've got Suni Saad that is tracking Joel Johnson as he makes a run. He passes him off to Ioze, and that allows him to break free into the spot that Joel that he vacated. And then that causes Duckett to come out, and he kind of quit on that ball a little bit. He didn't think he was able to keep it in.
Well, I'm sure I, like everybody else, just assumed that ball is out. Herrera looks at the official and says, hey, that ball's out. The official says no. And because Suni Saad got behind Duquette, again, he's got to make that play or that's a wide open. He's walking in on goal. Even though he had an earlier yellow for the hold of Ben Spies' arm. So the captain's armband taken off. Duquette will walk this one off. And he will now miss the next match, which is a home match on Wednesday night against Nashville SC for Duquette. For Duquette, this was his 15th match of 17 play, or 18 rather, played for Charlotte this season. They are missing another player tonight in Donnie Smith, another defender who is in the midst of a 3-game suspension for violent conduct.
So you look at the moments of the game, and you don't really know which one is going to count and really add up. You take a look at the little arm pull of Ben Spies at midfield. Yes, the 11 could have gotten out on a break at that point, but was it worth picking up a card at that time for that moment?
Pick your poison here for the Indy 11. The left foot of Ioze, the right foot of Suni Saad. It's the right foot. It's just off the side netting. For his 5th goal of the campaign.
I'd say I thought Dykstra was overplaying the far post, but he was pretty quick across the frame.
Dykstra spent time with the Colorado Rapids last year. Age of 32, certainly an experienced goalkeeper. This club has an affiliation with Colorado. They've got a handful of players that are on Colorado contracts that play for Charlotte. They got a great success story. A gentleman named Enzo Martinez, one of the top players in the USL the last 2 years for Charlotte. Had a tryout opportunity with the Rapids this spring and has appeared in 15 matches with Colorado this season. This ball to no one in particular. Good pass to space, but not a player there to latch on to it.
Two things that you want to stay away from if you're the 11 right now are restarts, because that's the great equalizer, and getting pulled out of shape where you can get caught in transition.
Long distance ball for Saad. Has that covered and has Dykstra available as an outlet. For standing stats on the latest league news, be sure to visit uslsoccer.com. You were chasing the game 11 on 11 if you're Charlotte, so how you approach this game doesn't change now. In the 81st minute. They do have 2 subs available. One's about to enter.
You got 3 pretty potent goal scorers on the field in Cato, Herrera, and Zayed. Cato's looking a bit fatigued from making those runs early in the first half.
Jake Arman is the player that's going to enter. Charlotte brought just 4 field players with them tonight. Of course, they have a backup keeper as well in Brandon Miller. So Arman will enter. Kai Fosser will exit. Arman, a 22-year-old rookie from Freehold, New Jersey. This is his 11th appearance of the season. He had to score a goal.
Where is that in relation to Newark?
You know, I'm much more familiar on my Midwestern geography. Well, then I have my New Jersey geography. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Brett.
It's okay.
Kai Fosser.
Next 4 for the Indy 11 are on the road. Next one 4 days from now in Charleston. Starikoff and Herrera got tied up behind the play. Official did not catch it. Not sure there was an advantage gained either way. Iose draws in Martinez. Sends it across, looking for Starikoff. Starikoff had just broken off his run momentarily.
Iose's got such a quick release and such quick feet. You know, he set up Johnson there as, is he going to take him off the dribble? And in a matter of moments, he just sends a nice early serve in behind the back line.
One of the many tremendous finds this offseason by the Indy 11 front office. A team that was basically rebuilt. Again, 3 returning players from last year. Another player that had previous Indy 11 experience in Zach Steinberger. Starikoff, Saad, tried to slide it back through to Starikoff.
You look at how physical Starikoff is and how he plays such a tough game. You wouldn't expect such a soft touch and clever interplay.
Some guys have just the fastball, some have the changeup. He's got both. Iose lifts it up for Spees. Johnson got there first. Spees applying pressure. This is the Ben Spees we saw a year ago for the Indy 11.
Well, an opportunity can do so much for your confidence.
Iose goes to ground. Draws the foul on Alex Martinez. We referenced the fact that 12 players in this Charlotte club have an international tie. He is originally from Uruguay, is Martinez. Jose content to buy a little time if given the opportunity here. Up a goal and up a man. Now ready to go. A relatively easy play for Dykstra. Next substitution about to enter. Utaya Mawapi awaits by the 4th official for the Independents. Zayed heading towards the back post. Von Williams there to deny it. Zayed had one good look in the first half, and Von Williams got a paw to it. Want to get exclusive video content and photography from across the USL? Be sure to follow the league's official Instagram account at uslsoccer.com.
Solid job by the 11, getting 10 players behind the ball, compressing, condensing the spaces.
Many long stretches of possession for Charlotte in this half. This is as long as they've had the ball at their feet. Johnson sends it in.
Great serve.
Mitchell. And a corner coming for Charlotte. This will be their first corner of the match. But first, a substitution. Sam Vines will exit as Mawapi will enter. Mitchell with the recovery. Zayed the target. As we so often know, he has this habit of hanging around the 6 and poaching one home. Where he's lurking right now. 4 players inside the box for the Independents. Von Williams a punch. It deflects off of Spees. Player down for the Indy 11, I believe, is Brad Ring. I think it's just a cramp. for the Indy 11 veteran. Final 5 minutes plus stoppage time in the second half, presented by your Central Indiana Honda dealers, official automotive sponsor of the Indy 11. You say Jose and Herrera having a conversation. Herrera checked on Brad Ring. A lot of guys talking about Herrera this week have talked about, and if you've played this long in the States, it's more than just talent. He is a very well-respected player in terms of how he conducts himself, a gentleman of the game. So not surprising. The conversation's a bit more friendly now towards the end of the match involving Herrera.
A class move. And then you look at the soccer IQ he has. Not just a great finisher, but now he's pulled himself back into the midfield and is trying to get more touches and being able to set up Zayed. Zayed, he's now serving as a target. And so Herrera's dropping in, pulling that ball off the back line, trying to find Zayed and then make his runs off of him.
As far as available subs for the Indy 11, Tyler Pasher, Brad Russin, and Juan Guerra could all play the midfield or defensive role that Brad Ring does. But right now, everybody is parked on the bench. They're expecting Brad to finish this one out. I would say Juan Guerra might be the most likely of subs if one is needed for Ring. We saw Pasher play for the first time in over 2 months on Wednesday night. A substitute role versus Ottawa Fury. Walking in the tightrope, and Moses will keep that ball in play and keep it away from a Charlotte player. Cato. Starikoff on his right hip pocket. Indy not out of the woods just yet. First touch from Mwape. And Juan Guerra, by the way, will be that third substitution. So that's why you saw the other subs sitting on the bench. Number 16 about to enter, and again, you would assume for Brad Ring at this point. Olsen in looking for Zayed. We met, got a boot to it. He has defended against Eamon each of the last 2 years. Jacksonville 2 years ago, San Francisco a season ago.
He's done a great job of really reducing Zayed's impactful moments in the box.
Mwape. Back post, Starikoff is there. Ball slipped past, and Von Williams able to knock it away. And Dykstra heading all the way up towards midfield. He might be, in fact, heading all the way towards the 18. Let's take a look here. It really has been next to nothing for Charlotte the last 35 minutes, and now you see the push the last 2 or 3 minutes.
What a touch by Von Williams.
Guerra now being allowed to sub on, and Ring has taken the short course off the pitch. He's going straight to the end zone. So all 3 subs have been used for the Indy 11, and all have been used in some form or fashion for injury purposes. The wear and tear of this 4-match and 11-day streak is showing.
Yeah, I think all 3 hamstrings too.
Mitchell got there first, sends it back towards midfield again. Dykstra now has to sprint back to the other end of the pitch. 4th official shows 4 minutes on the board. Mitchell down behind the play, remains down. We play on the cross. Johnson will track it down. Mitchell now back up to his feet. Ouimet heads it out of the 18. Mwape flicks it forward. O'Flying Von Williams will let it trickle into the football end zone, and now Mitchell will have a minute to catch his breath. Let's thank our friends at Brayton, Indy 11's preferred technology and office equipment provider. BraytonOnline.com. Brayton technology that drives your business. Charlotte scored a late goal last week in a far different scenario, trailing 4-0. This one would have a point attached to it, which is why Owine Von Williams is practicing the time-honored craft of time wasting as we speak. We want to thank our friend Sean and Dean for hanging out in the broadcast booth with us tonight. Not sure if they learned anything, but hopefully we kept them entertained. The same for you watching on Wish TV or ESPN Plus. And a yellow card is going to be shown as Starikov goes to the ground. And the card goes to the recent involvement, Jake Arman, shown the yellow.
Yellow card caution has been issued by the referee to Charlotte Independence as number 4, Jake Armand. It's stoppage time.
And every card or foul like that, again, is just more time that comes off the clock for the Indy 11. Spees heads to the corner. Jordan knocks it away, but a throw in coming. The Indy 11 will not be in a hurry here.
Really solid performances from Spees and Starikov. You know, when you start the match and you're not in to begin, your mindset is a little bit different. You're not disconnected, but you haven't prepped through warm-up to be ready to go. And now you get called in within 10 minutes. And both guys, even with extensive minutes on Wednesday night, played a great match tonight.
And a corner earned by Moses. The Charlotte players aren't exactly happy about it, but it is a corner nonetheless. And the longer the conversation goes, the more time ticks off the clock. And a card is now shown to Martinez. And again, that's been brewing since back in the first half.
He did well to navigate the 50, 60 minutes since the talking to.
Martinez having to be sent back by numerous teammates at this point. Again, the longer this goes, the better it is for the Indy 11. And if you're Martinez, you got to sometimes know when to pick your battles. You're already down a man. You're already down a goal.
And the 11 are showing we are not going to play this like a normal corner. We're going to play the short corner. We're going to kill some more time. We've got our 8 guys behind the ball. We're in good shape.
Ball sent in there. So a chance for a last-ditch effort here by Charlotte. Indy 11 have allowed a tying goal in the 94th minute earlier this season in the building. We'll see if they learned from past mistakes.
Just cannot lose track of Herrera, Cato, or Zayed at this critical moment.
We are past 4 minutes. I think maybe 30 seconds at most left in this match. Zayed the target. Ioze got there first. Saad with a real estate ball that Dykstra will scurry forward to play. A glance at the watch, a blow of the whistle, and a 3 points for the Indy 11. Much needed after just 1 point in 2 previous home matches this week. A come-from-behind victory for the Indy 11 and a climb up the standings in the Eastern Conference. Final score this evening at Lucas Oil Stadium. The Indy 11 2 and the Charlotte Independence 1. Final thoughts on this match before we get to the official Central Indiana Hunting Dealers postgame show when we come back on Wish TV. Indy 11 Soccer, brought to you by Community Health Network. Dream big, work hard, finish strong. Community Sports Medicine, official sports medicine provider of the Indy 11. By Honda, proud to be the official automotive sponsor of the Indy 11. By Turkish Airlines, widen your world. And by The Room Place, get it all at The Room Place. It took nearly 150 minutes of soccer against one another for these two teams to finally score a goal. And then there was 3 of them in the second half. The first belonged to Charlotte. The last 2 belonged to the Indy 11. And all 3 points, needed 3 points, go to the home side tonight.
Massive, massive 3 points. Would have been for either team.
Wasn't much in the way of opportunities in the half for Charlotte, except the one glaring opportunity that Herrera scored on for his 9th goal of the season. Ben Spies put in the work, got his first tally of the year.
Great ball by Iose. Presence of mind from Starikoff to knock it back to Spies.
You were saying great ball by Iose. There's another one, his 5th assist of the season. Carlisle Mitchell, his 2nd goal, a game winner for the Indy 11. They will not be in this building for 5 weeks. They get a little more space for these upcoming road games, except for Wednesday night. They've got a turnaround, beaten up and all. They'll take on the Charleston Battery in South Carolina on Wednesday night. Our Central Indiana Honda Dealers postgame show with player and coach interviews comes your way next here on Wish TV and ESPN+.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.